Hollywood, the land of glamour, fame, and perfection. At least, that's the illusion we were sold. Behind the million-dollar smiles and flashing lights were stories so dark that studios spent decades trying to erase them. Family betrayals, secret affairs, lies buried deeper than fame itself. And the further we go down this list, the darker the truth gets. Here are 24 of the most shocking family secrets Hollywood tried to bury forever. Gloria Graham, the star whose forbidden love destroyed her career. Gloria Graham was one of Hollywood's most alluring stars, an Oscar-winning actress adored by millions. But in 1951, her world collapsed after a shocking family scandal erupted behind closed doors. Her husband, the director Nicholas Ray, returned home unexpectedly and discovered a betrayal that would echo across Hollywood. The revelation spread fast, shaking studios and headlines alike. MGM and RKO reportedly spent thousands to silence the press, but the damage was done. Gloria's reputation fell apart, and offers stopped overnight. Years later, she reignited the gossip columns when she secretly married Tony Ray, the man at the center of that long-buried controversy. The story ended her career and turned her into a symbol of Hollywood's hidden chaos, a reminder that behind every glamorous smile, there's a secret waiting to explode. Rita Hayworth, the love goddess controlled by her father. Rita Hayworth was Hollywood's ultimate love goddess, elegant, magnetic, and adored worldwide. But before the fame, she lived under the strict and controlling grip of her father, Eduardo Cancino. From a young age, he pushed her to perform demanding dance routines across Mexico and the United States, seeing her talent as a way to earn money. The long nights, constant travel, and endless pressure left deep scars that never truly healed. Rita's dazzling beauty hid years of exhaustion and emotional pain. Even at the height of her fame, she struggled to separate the woman the world adored from the person she truly was. Behind the glamour and spotlight stood a woman quietly battling the weight of her past, and her story was only the beginning of Hollywood's darker side. Clara Bow, the it girl who escaped her mother's knife. Clara Bow, Hollywood's first it girl, was the embodiment of joy and desire. But her childhood was straight out of a horror story. Her mother suffered from severe mental illness. One night, she crept into Clara's room, knife in hand, ready to end her daughter's life. Clara's scream saved her. Her father wasn't any better. A drunk and rumored abuser, she escaped by becoming a star. But even fame couldn't erase her past. By 26, Clara had retired, emotionally scarred and exhausted. She had everything America dreamed of, and none of the peace it promised. But not all pain comes from madness. Some comes from lies carefully built to hide the truth. Merle Oberon, the star who hid her race and her mother's secret. Merle Oberon was known as the Tasmanian Rose, graceful, radiant, flawless. But her entire life was a lie. She was actually born in Bombay, India, to a 12-year-old mother and her stepfather. To escape the scandal, her grandmother raised her as her daughter, and her real mother was forced to pose as her sister. When she reached Hollywood, her studio faked her birthplace and background, claiming she came from European nobility. She avoided bright lights during filming, terrified her complexion would give her away. For decades, she lived in fear that her real identity would be exposed. Hollywood's obsession with perfection forced her to deny who she truly was. And while Merle spent her life hiding her origins, Charlie Chaplin's secret nearly destroyed his. Charlie Chaplin, the comedian forced to marry a 16-year-old. Charlie Chaplin, the legendary comedian who made the world laugh, once faced a scandal that nearly ended his career. At the height of his fame, his private life became front-page news after he quietly married a much younger actress during the filming of one of his biggest movies. Rumors of the sudden marriage and secret relationship spread quickly, and when their union collapsed, the divorce became a national spectacle. Court accusations, bitter statements, and endless press coverage turned Hollywood's most beloved figure into one of its most controversial. For a man once celebrated as comedy's genius, the laughter suddenly stopped. Chaplin's reputation was never the same again, And as his personal life unraveled, another Hollywood icon faced a downfall born from her own family's dark secrets. Joan Crawford, the mommy dearest nightmare. To the world, Joan Crawford was elegance itself, a woman of beauty, strength, and success. But to her daughter, she was a monster. In 1978, Christina Crawford released Mommy Dearest, a memoir describing a nightmare childhood. Beatings, insults, and psychological torture filled its pages. The infamous no wire hangers scene became Hollywood legend. The revelation shattered Joan's reputation. The public learned her adopted children came through a woman running an illegal baby trafficking ring. Behind her, glamour was cruelty, and the queen of Hollywood had fallen. But Joan wasn't the only perfect parent hiding a dark truth. America's favorite father was about to be exposed. Bing Crosby, America's favorite father turned monster. Bing Crosby was the voice of Christmas, calm, gentle, loving. But his sons told a different story. In his memoir, Gary Crosby revealed years of beatings with leather belts, punishments for gaining weight, and a house filled with fear. His brothers confirmed the abuse. Behind the warm carols was a man haunted by control and rage. The world saw Santa, his family saw a tyrant, and if that shattered America's image of the perfect dad, the next story showed the real cost of Hollywood's innocence. Judy Garland, the child star forced to flee her father's past. Before she was Dorothy, Judy Garland was just Frances Gumm. Her childhood ended the night her family fled their town in silence. Rumors spread that her father had relationships with young men, a scandal too explosive for 1920s America. So, the family ran. MGM turned Judy into America's sweetheart, but her life became a cage of strict diets, pills, and control. She sang about rainbows but lived in storms. By 47, she was gone, broken by the system that built her. Yet decades later, Hollywood stars were still living under lies. Jack Nicholson, the star who found out his sister was his mother. Jack Nicholson, the rebel of the silver screen, lived a lie for nearly 4 decades. He grew up believing his grandmother was his mother and his real mother was his sister. In 1974, a journalist discovered the truth while researching a profile on him. Jack's world turned upside down. Both women were already dead. There was no one left to ask why. The revelation changed him forever, but Jack wasn't alone, because another Hollywood heartthrob shared the exact same secret. Bobby Darin, the singer who learned his mother was his sister. Bobby Darin, the golden voice behind Mac the Knife, lived his entire life thinking his mother was his mom. She wasn't. She was his grandmother. His sister, Nina, was his real mother, a secret kept to hide the shame of an unwed pregnancy. When he learned the truth, he broke down completely. His songs turned darker. His laughter disappeared. He died young, never fully recovering from the lie that shaped his life. And while Bobby's truth was hidden by shame, Ingrid Bergman's scandal was punished by the world. Ingrid Bergman, the angel condemned by Congress. Ingrid Bergman was Hollywood's angel until she fell from grace. In 1949, she fell in love with Italian director Roberto Rossellini and became pregnant before her divorce was finalized. To America, it was unforgivable. A U.S. senator denounced her publicly, calling her a destroyer of family values. She was banned from Hollywood, labeled immoral, and forced into exile. 7 years later, she returned with Anastasia and won another Oscar. But her public humiliation showed how quickly Hollywood turns on its angels. And for others, punishment wasn't public. It was lifelong silence. Rock Hudson, the man forced to marry to hide his truth. Rock Hudson was the ultimate American man, handsome, masculine, untouchable, but he lived his entire life hiding who he really was. When gossip magazines threatened to expose him, his studio staged a fake marriage to his secretary. The world believed the lie. Behind closed doors, Rock threw secret parties for the life he couldn't live in public. When he revealed he had AIDS in 1985, the truth finally came out. Hollywood's greatest romantic hero had lived and died hiding his real love story. But while Rock hid behind a mask, another star created a family that never existed. Raymond Burr, the actor who invented a dead wife and son. Audiences adored Raymond Burr as Perry Mason, the lawyer who always saved the day. Off-screen, he told heartbreaking stories: a wife lost in a plane crash, a son taken by illness. But after his death, reporters discovered it was all fiction. No wife, no son, no tragedies. Except one. Burr had made it all up to hide his sexuality. He lived quietly with his male partner for decades. The fake stories were his armor. Some stars lied to protect secrets. Others lied to protect forbidden love. Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, the secret 26-year love affair. Their chemistry was legendary, but their love story was one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets. Spencer Tracy was a devout Catholic who refused to divorce his wife. Katharine Hepburn loved him anyway, quietly, faithfully, for 26 years. She cared for him through illness and heartbreak, living in the shadows of his public life. When he died, she didn't attend his funeral, out of love and respect. Their story was proof that even true love can't always survive the spotlight. But Clark Gable's secret wasn't about love. It was about a child hidden from the world. Clark Gable and Loretta Young, their hidden daughter. Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood, and Loretta Young, the queen of virtue, shared a secret affair. When Loretta became pregnant, she vanished from Hollywood for months. When she returned, she introduced a baby girl named Judy as her adopted daughter. In reality, Judy was her and Gable's biological child. The truth stayed buried for decades, until Judy herself revealed it in her memoir. Hollywood had applauded a lie for nearly 60 years, and while Gable hid a child, Gary Cooper hid something even darker. Gary Cooper, the golden hero who forced a secret abortion. Gary Cooper was the ultimate all-American man, moral, brave, honorable. But his off-screen choices told another story. While married, he began a passionate affair with young actress Patricia Neal. When she became pregnant, Cooper panicked. He forced her to end the pregnancy in secret to protect his career. The abortion haunted her for life. Hollywood's noble cowboy was nothing more than a frightened man hiding behind a clean image, and the next star's secret was about to explode in court for the whole world to see. Mary Astor, the diary that exposed Hollywood's private affairs. Mary Astor, star of The Maltese Falcon, lived a double life. During a custody battle, her private diary was exposed in court, and it was explosive. In the diary, she detailed steamy affairs with powerful men, including a famous playwright. The press called it the Purple Diary. The courtroom turned into a circus, and the headlines spread worldwide. She kept custody of her daughter, but never escaped the scandal. Hollywood's perfect lady had become its dirtiest secret, and the next story would humiliate one of America's most beloved stars. Patty Duke, the star who didn't know her baby's father. Patty Duke was America's sweetheart, until one pregnancy made her the target of national gossip. When she became pregnant, she couldn't say for sure who the father was. 3 famous men were rumored, including the son of Lucille Ball. The press turned her pain into entertainment. She later told her son that his father was John Aston, but years later, DNA proved otherwise. It was another man entirely. Her life became a soap opera she couldn't escape. And while Patty's scandal came from confusion, the next came from cruelty. Barbara Stanwyck, the star who erased her adopted son. Barbara Stanwyck was known as the Queen of Film Noir. Fans loved her, and her story of adopting a child touched millions. But behind the scenes, the fairy tale collapsed. She grew distant, cold, and finally cut off her son completely. When asked about him years later, she simply said, "I have no son." The words shocked Hollywood, proof that not every maternal icon lived up to her role. And if that seemed heartless, the next story was pure hypocrisy. Jerry Lewis, the charity icon who denied his own children. For decades, Jerry Lewis was the king of charity. He raised millions for sick children, but refused to support his own. His illegitimate daughter said he ignored her existence. When he died, 6 of his sons learned they'd been written out of his will entirely. The man who begged compassion for strangers left his own family behind. It was Hollywood's cruelest contradiction. And while Jerry abandoned his bloodline, Marlon Brando's entire family was consumed by tragedy. Marlon Brando, the Godfather consumed by family chaos. Marlon Brando, the genius behind The Godfather, lived a real-life tragedy darker than any movie he made. His eldest son, Christian, shot and killed his sister's boyfriend during a heated fight. His daughter Cheyenne later took her own life in despair. Brando was left broken, haunted by the collapse of his family. The man who played the ultimate patriarch was powerless to save his own blood. But even the perfect gentleman had his secret. Leslie Howard, the gentleman with a hidden love child. Leslie Howard, the charming Englishman from Gone with the Wind, was the model of decency. But hidden documents revealed a secret child from an affair before his fame. Howard kept the truth buried until his death. The perfect gentleman had a shadow after all, and while Howard's secret was buried with dignity, the next one came from heartbreak and fate. Jean Tierney, the fan who doomed her child. Jean Tierney was considered one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood, but one fan's reckless act changed her life forever. While pregnant, Jean met a woman who broke quarantine to meet her, despite having rubella. Jean caught the illness, and her daughter was born blind, deaf, and disabled. Studios told her to smile, but she spent her nights weeping in silence. Her life was forever marked by tragedy she never caused. And if that wasn't haunting enough, the final story shows how shame can shape even the greatest talent. Lon Chaney Sr., the man of 1,000 faces who hid his parents. Lon Chaney Sr., Hollywood's first master of transformation, carried a secret that shaped everything he became. Both of his parents were deaf-mute, but instead of pride, he felt shame. He hid them from the world, even from his own wife. That pain became his gift. He used silence to express emotion no words could match. The world called him a genius. He called himself a man hiding in plain sight. Behind every Hollywood smile lies a story of pain, fear, and survival. Gloria Graham, Rita Hayworth, Judy Garland, Marlon Brando. They weren't just stars. They were humans trapped in a spotlight too bright to hide their scars. Hollywood loves perfection. But the truth, the brighter the light, the darker the shadows. Which story shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments. And if you want to uncover more hidden Hollywood truths, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because behind the fame, the real stories are just beginning.